Hello guys, and a big welcome to my YouTube channel. I'm Florence, and here, as you know, we love to talk about life in the diaspora, and today we are talking about the 6 C's of care. What are the qualities, or what are the things that you can actually focus on if you're going to be a carer, or if you're going to succeed in care? This borders around the 6 C's of care, or what they call 6 C's of care. Thank you so much for subscribing. Thank you so much for supporting. And thank you so much for all the love that you show us. Continue to share, subscribe. So one of the first things that I want to talk about is care. How caring are you as a person? How caring are you as a professional? How caring are you as a carer? So this is when you devote yourself, or this is when you say, okay, I'm going to offer care to somebody. My care, how is it rated? This has to be quality care. It's not just about showing up. It's not just about going into a call, or it's not just about turning up at work, but it's turning up to deliver person-centered care. It's turning up to deliver care that is focused on the person and their needs, and to offer that care wholeheartedly. That's what I would term being caring. And it's quite important if you're a carer, because you meet people or service user with different diverse care needs. And it takes you as a person and your whole mindset for you to offer quality care. The second thing I'm going to talk about is competence. Why do I choose to talk about competence secondly? It's because competence is when you factor in skills, training, and everything professional into the care that you deliver. It's very, very important because, these are people that are relying on you as a carer and the whole team that you work with to actually live a fulfilled life. So depending on their care needs, some of these people, you got to be trained, and training can vary from skills, clinical skills training, mental health training, and training bordering around manual handling, lifting, and things like that. Health and safety, hygiene. So it's very, very important that you as a carer, you prioritize your skills training, you prioritize your e-learning, you prioritize your face-to-face training. Why? This is what can make you a competent person. This is what will border around the quality of care that you're going to offer. Because there is actually certain tasks that you have to do with the patient or with the client that you cannot go through, or you cannot undertake unless you are competent, unless you are signed off. And bear in mind that this training, it's continuous learning, it's continuous development. And depending on your organization, some of this learning, some of these skills, you got to continuously renew your skills training. So it's your responsibility as a carer to keep on top of your training. So as a carer, it's also important for you to prioritize your competence. Because what happens when you join an organization, when you join a care organization, what happens is they do train you. It's part and parcel of what they are required by regulated bodies to say, okay, when you engage somebody, or when somebody joins your team, they have to be trained. At least there's mandatory training, and then there's optional training that one can undertake. So unless you are now confident, unless you're now fully competent, you are actually allowed to say, I need more time, or I need more supervision, or I need more shadowing. I'm not yet confident to undertake certain tasks. Why that is important is because part and parcel of this job is because we look after people. And you cannot do trial and error with people's lives. You cannot do trial and error with people's care. Because this could be very, very detrimental. If anything goes wrong and you're not competent and you've been gambling, then, it can be detrimental. It can be fatal in the worst case scenario. So it's very, very important for you to be somebody who is honest and say, well, I'm not competent enough for me to do this on my own. I'll need more supervision, or I need more practice, or I need more training. One of the things that I do want to say, or that I do want to emphasize today, is the fact that whenever you join a new organization, you're always given somebody to mentor you or to shadow you. So it's that go-to person that you can actually open up for support, open up for maybe extra training, or where you feel you're not confident, or even when you feel you're confident, that's your go-to person to say, okay, I want to try this today. Okay, I want to try this with, you watch me and I try to do it on my own. So until you're confident, that builds towards your competence, because we are dealing with people's lives, we're dealing with people's health, and you cannot afford to do trial and error. The third C of care that I want to talk about is compassion. Being compassionate. What do I mean by compassionate? By compassionate, we're talking about kindness. We're talking about being somebody who is very caring, somebody who pay attention to how somebody is feeling, how speaking to somebody in a certain way can make them feel, how certain gestures or certain way of communicating can actually make somebody feel. So everything that you're going to do with that patient or with that client has to border around being compassionate. This job has taught me the importance of compassionateness. This job has actually taught me that it costs nothing to be kind. Be kind in the way you serve them. Be kind the way you speak to them. Be kind to the way you even facial expressions. Just be kind. And sometimes a simple smile can actually make somebody stay. A simple smile can actually add an extra oomph into a conversation. So make it a point that you're constantly smiling, constantly being kind. Be mindful with the words that you say to these people. That says a lot about you. That says a lot about your compassionateness and your caringness. The fourth C I want to talk about is communication. I love to talk about communication because there's no way you can talk about care work. There's no way we can talk about saving other people or caring for people and not talk about communication. There's different types of communication, from verbal communication, from non-verbal communication, to written communication. And even body language can serve as communication as well. So there's all sorts of communication that's involved when in care. And this is a key quality when we talk about care. Why? Because it's the only way that you can actually maybe deliver a message or actually interpret a message of somebody. So it's very, very important to make sure that your communication is professional, your communication is kind, your communication is very factual. Why? This can impact on the quality of care that you're offering somebody. So your communication with your colleagues is very important. Your communication with the person that you're serving or the person that you're supporting is very, very important as well. Your communication with the rest of the organization or other people that are actually players in the care and support of that person you're giving support to is very, very important. Why? Because we do work hand in hand with district nurses, we work hand in hand with doctors, you work hand in hand with social workers. So it's very, very important for you to be mindful of the fact that whatever form of communication, it has to be factual, it has to be timeless, and it has to be to the relevant person. And we cannot talk about communication and not talk about confidentiality. To say, as we communicate, as we share communication, it has to be on a need-to-know basis. Part and parcel of the things that I was first trained when I came to this country, when I joined care work, was the fact that confidentiality is very, very important. Whatever that you're privileged to know about a certain client or certain service user, by virtue of the job that you do or by the virtue of your role in that person's care, should stay within the organization, should not be said in any other setting, in other place, which is not a workplace setting. And by this, we are talking about, you are never supposed to be talking about a client or talking about their care outside, or whether you meet colleagues in a supermarket and then you start talking about a client or a service user. That's unacceptable. And all communication, it's not everybody that you have to tell about that patient or service user or client in particular. It has to be on a need-to-know basis. So even when you meet up with that patient or that client's family, always pause and think, okay, do they need to know about this? Does this have anything to do with them? And one of the things that I love to say when I do share and speak to fellow carers is to say, always know your place as a carer. Is it your place to speak to family about the care that's being offered to the person that you're supporting? Some of this communication, depending on what you would have been asked or what they are inquiring about, you would rather leave those to your supervisor or to your manager. It saves you a lot of trouble because you just never know how they will take it. You just never know how it's going to be interpreted. So you don't want your organization to be found wanting because of the things that you have said. Always check, am I the right person to say these things? Am I the rightful person to share this information about this person in particular? And also because of the duty of care, we should also understand and know that it's our duty to report if there is any form of abuse, any form of safeguarding. The onus is on you as a carer, as a citizen, for you to report any safeguarding issue timeously and factually. I will move on to talk about the fifth C of care. This is commitment. Why do I want to talk about commitment as an important factor of care or important quality? It's because, you show up every day, and when you do show up, you do have to show up wholesomely. What do I mean by showing up wholesomely? It shows commitment. Show up on time, because that person is actually relying on you as a carer. You're the only person that's going to come and wake them up, offer them medication, offer them this and that. So you have to be somebody who is committed. Therefore, you begin to respect time to say, okay, I have to show up at this time in particular. I'll give you one situation when it comes to commitment, maybe where it does apply. Maybe you're in a call, maybe support work, and then somebody is supposed to come and take over, but then they do not show up. What is it that you do? We've heard about situations where carers just leave service users or just leave clients, and then they just go because their time is up. But a committed person would not do that. So part and parcel of this job requires for you to, think in that way where you're saying, okay, if I do leave them, what will happen to them? Are they safe? Is this the best that they need? Is everything okay with them? So you're checking everything. You're being there for me wholesomely, but in a professional way though. So it's very, very important for you to show commitment, for you to be committed. That way, then your organization will begin to rely on you. That way, even the person that you're supporting will begin to rely on you. That's where the concept of reliability comes into play. Are you somebody who is reliable? Are you somebody who is responsible? Because a reliable and responsible somebody definitely is a committed somebody. Last but not least, I would like to talk about courage. It's very, very important in care because you come across different situations, different scenarios. But how you present yourself or how you come across, you got to come across as somebody who is courageous. Courageous to challenge certain behavior. Courageous to be able to even report certain behavior. This can vary from behavior from the client themselves, behavior from fellow carers or fellow colleagues that you work with. I'll pose a question to you. What would you do if you realize that maybe certain policies or certain procedures are being violated? You should be able to voice up. You should be able to speak up. You should be able to challenge certain things that are not appropriate. Suppose you realize a fellow colleague is not following procedures, is offering care, but then in a way that's not respectful or dignified. You should be able to speak up. You should be able to challenge that behavior. So for you to be able to do that, you require courage. You do require courage. So guys, today we've just been talking about the 6 C's of care, which is care, competence, commitment, courage, compassion, and communication. And guys, thank you so much for always supporting us, for subscribing and for sharing our content. Keep on subscribing, keep on sharing, keep on watching our videos. And until next time, it's bye from me. Bye.